All right, as promised, why would you choose to file married filing separately as compared to jointly? Because as we said, you can combine all of those advantages. If you are married filing jointly, and basically you'll see throughout the exam, if you get any sort of deduction, you multiply it by 2. I mean, not in every case, we'll see, and you'll memorize them throughout the exam. But for example, the homeowner, you sell your house, you get a $250,000 deduction against any gain. That doubles to $500,000 if you are married. So why would you choose to do it separately? Let's talk about that. Filing as married filing separately instead of jointly can sometimes provide certain advantages depending on the couple's individual financial and tax circumstances. We've got some advantages here. This isn't going to be absolutely critical for the exam, kind of just me giving you context as to why that status exists, what's going on with it. I think is very helpful. Separation of tax liabilities. So when filing separately, each spouse is only responsible for their own tax liability. This could be particularly beneficial if one spouse has concerns about the accuracy of the other spouse's tax return, or if there are past debts, as each spouse's liability is kept separate. So maybe you don't trust the other person. I don't want to say that. It's not fun to think about. Or if you just know, let's say the other person's just got a lot of debts, a lot of tax liabilities, a lot of things going on. Could be a good way to separate it out. It's like you separating yourself from your company. Legal separation has a lot of advantages. Next up, protection from the other spouse's financial issues. If one spouse has significant outstanding debts, tax liens, or student loans in default, filing separately can help protect the other spouse's share of the tax refund from being garnished or offset to pay the indebted spouse's obligations. Again, kind of similar. You're separating it out because you don't want to commingle finances for many financial reasons. Garnishment, this will be something we'll see a lot more in business law, where, especially with bankruptcy or indebtedness, if you owe money to someone, they could get a legal garnishment where they start taking out a portion of your wages. But again, we will see that much more in business law. Next up, high medical expenses. Here's a big one, which maybe you see and things are totally fine between the spouses. Everyone's got a pretty solid financial situation, but here's an example of where it could benefit you. Now, if one spouse has significant medical expenses, filing separately may allow them to claim a larger medical expense deduction because, as we'll see with itemized deductions and AGIs and all of that, medical expenses are only deductible to the extent that they exceed 7.5% of the taxpayer's adjusted gross income. So if you've got one spouse that makes a lot of money, has no medical expenses, you got one spouse that doesn't make a lot of money but has a lot of medical expenses, the one that does not make a lot of money might benefit significantly from filing separately, being able to claim the medical expenses as a deduction. We will see that when we get to adjustments, deductions, all of that in that lesson. By filing separately and having a lower adjusted gross income, we'll see that as well later on, the threshold for deducting medical expenses could be more easily met. Lastly here, income-based student loan repayment plans for couples where one or both spouses have student loans and are enrolled in an income-driven repayment plan. Filing separately may result in lower monthly student loan payments. Here, this is because payments under these plans are often based on the borrower's AGI, and filing separately can keep the AGI lower for the spouse with the loans. However, it's important to note that filing separately often comes with disadvantages such as losing access to certain credits and deductions and potentially having a higher overall tax liability. So for the purposes of the exam, generally married filing jointly is going to be more preferential, but here's just for your knowledge as well as tying into things that we'll see, right? This is making these connections and understanding the tax code overall. Just the more you do it, the better off you're going to understand how all these lessons are interconnected with each other. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.